Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And if you are coming here to not get your yearly shots, then, I don't know what else you're doing, because we have so much UFC to inject you with today. We got new fights, new updated rankings, of course, our UFC Vegas 106. I don't know if I was getting confused, because this event takes place on May 17th. I thought it was Vegas 107, but UFC Vegas 107 is at the end of the month, and UFC Vegas 108 is actually August 2nd. Wow. Yeah, we've had a lot of fight updates, and I'm excited. I'm excited to go through all of these, give our UFC Vegas 106 predictions, and this is really weird, this episode, because this is the last one I believe I'm officially recording down here in Mankato before I move back home, and it's bittersweet. It's been so fun living here. I've just had the most amazing time. It's weird to think that I'm back to recording, back in the basement, back where it all began. And I'm sure this weekend when I move down, I may record an episode here or something, just because the Wi-Fi here is 10 times better than at my house. But nonetheless, it is something. It is something. So I hope you all enjoy this. It's going to be fun to go over all of this stuff. And, the future looks bright, boys. The future looks bright. And girls. We always got girl listeners on here. So without doubt, ladies and gentlemen, let's just dive right on into everything. And usually we start with new UFC fights. We have so many new UFC fights to talk about. We're actually going to start out by looking at the updated UFC rankings. So of course, every single Tuesday, the UFC rankings update. When there's an event, at least there is the rankings officially update, and we've been blessed to have some even more updates happen. So starting off, women's bantamweight division, Nothing going on in that division. Next big fight, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. And I believe there's some other ones going on, but other than that, nothing updating. Now, as for women's flyweight, Natalia Silva jumps up to the number 1 spot. She jumps 4 spots from 5 to 1 after her win over Alexa Grasso, just as I suspected and just as it would be. Of course, Valentina Shevchenko remains your women's flyweight champion, remains your pound-for-pound women's fighter. She is still the top dog. Alexa Grasso, after her defeat, drops down to number 3. Manny Fiora keeps her number 2 position in the division. Erin Blanchfield bumped down to 4. Macy Barber bumped down to 5. Jasmine Jasudavicius, with her down and victory over Jessica Andrade, moves up to number 6. Absolutely love that. Rose Namajunas down to 7, and Jessica Andrade down to 9. Those are all your women's flyweight rankings updates. What are we going to do from here? Well, they're either going to do Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko, which could main event a pay-per-view. I kid you not. I think it would serve better as like a co-main event under John Jones and Tom Aspinall if that were to happen. Or maybe even, what's another title fight that we could do? There's a lot of title fights that we're going to have. But maybe that could be under Islam Makhachev and Jack Del Maddalena. I don't know. But that could be a potential big fight. But if that doesn't take place, Natalia Silva is next in line for the Women's Flyweight Championship. No matter if it's Zhang Weili or Valentina, Natalia Silva will be next. For Alexa Grasso, I think Jasmine Jasudavicius probably is going to be her next opponent unless Jasmine gets Manon. You're also going to have Erin Blanchfield and Macy Barber dueling it at the end of May. The loser of that, I think, could be in a position to take on Alexa Grasso or Manny Fiora, because the winner's probably going to be next in line after Natalia Silva. For someone like Rose Namajunas, I believe she has a fight coming up with, is it Miranda Maverick, Jillian Robertson? I don't really know. I believe she does have a fight scheduled coming up, so she'll be good there. And as for Jessica Andrade, she just needs to stay at strawweight. Jessica Andrade has become the Kevin Holland of the women's division. Kevin Holland and Jessica Andrade, they fluctuate between 2 divisions, and whenever they go to the higher weight division that they're in, they always lose. Whenever in their, I would call it, natural weight class, they seem to do better. So I think if she wants to do anything with the rest of her illustrious Hall of Fame career, then she should move down to women's strawweight, which is actually where we go next. Women's strawweight, Loma Lookboonmee passes Luana Pinheiro from 14 to 15. That's it. That's all you get for women's strawweight. And honestly, not too many updates in the women's strawweight division. We'll have to see what happens as the year progresses. Rounding out our women's divisions with the pound for pound, Juliana Pena is up to 3. Manny Fiora is up to 4 somehow as Alexa Grasso drops to number 5. A little confused how Manny Fiora is in there at number 4. I can understand Valentina, Zhang Weili, and Juliana Pena, but Manny Fiora at 4? Interesting. You still have Natalia Silva at 8, actually. That's awesome. Good for her. And Jessica Andrade, I'm pretty sure they kicked off the women's pound for pound because Amanda Lemos is now on. So women's pound for pound is actually just, the men's pound for pound is screwy. This one is insanely screwy, just ridiculously screwy. So we're just going to leave the women's pound for pound alone as we move into the men's divisions. Men's heavyweight, no updates in the rankings as we await what will happen with Tom Aspinall, John Jones, Shogun, Alexander Volkov, Halton Almeida. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're still waiting for Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kudia, for goodness sakes. We're going to bring that up later on today's episode. And as for Sergey Pavlovich, he's also still trying to get a fight to be booked. So men's heavyweight is actually kind of a mess right now, but we do have a fight to talk about coming up when we discuss new fights. Light heavyweight, no new fights. Middleweight, no new fights. Not new fights, what am I saying? No new updates in the rankings. That is, we're still waiting for big fights to take place. But moving to welterweight, that is where we get Jack Della Maddalena, who goes from 5 to champion. That is right, he is your new men's welterweight champion. Bilal down to 1, Sean Brady to 2, Shavkat to 3, Leon Edwards to 4, and Kamaru Usman to 5. Now, out of those top 5 guys, obviously Usman's taking on Buckley. I'm thinking they do Leon Edwards versus Ian Gary. That's what I think you should do. I think you run Shavkat Bilal, and I think you give Sean Brady the next championship. If not, Michael Morales and Gilbert Burns, big welterweight matchup coming up. Implications of that will be certainly something we'll have to discuss on today's episode. But welterweight, great job to Jack Della Maddalena. JDM is your new men's welterweight champion. Lightweight, no updates in the rankings, but we do have big fight announcements to discuss. Featherweight, same scenario, no new updates in the rankings. But as we move into bantamweight, Amin Zahabi up from 4 spots to 11. Vinicius Oliveira takes over Jose Aldo's spot in the rankings at 15. That's right, Amin Zahabi moving up after his win over Jose. And Jose gets bumped as he is now officially retired. Hopefully he remains retired. Hopefully we don't get a 40-year-old Aldo returning to the UFC. But yeah, Amin Zahabi in at 11. And, Mario Batista doesn't have an opponent after Marlon Chito Vera pulled out of their UFC 316 contest. Maybe if Amin wants to step in. I know he took a lot of damage, but that could be an option there. If not, there's a number 8, Rob Font, the number 6, Davison Figueiredo. Amin Zahabi is oddly going to get a big name in his next contest. And his name is pretty under the radar, if you're asking me. As for Vinicius Oliveira, he's been an absolute dog since coming into the UFC. I actually think his nickname is Lock Dog, so he could potentially take on Kyler Phillips at number 12. I think that could be an option. Flyweight, no updates in the rankings. Now as we get into the men's pound for pound, Volkanovski jumps 2 spots to 7. Jack Della Maddalena debuts at 9. Bilal Muhammad drops 6 spots to 13. Sean O'Malley down to 14. Charles Oliveira to 15. I don't even know who they kicked off because no one really cares about the bottom of the men's pound for pound, but good for Jack. In the top 10, I will say they're disrespecting Alexander Pantoja at 10 and Tom Aspinall at 11. That is just ridiculous, especially Pantoja should probably be number 6. I kid you not. You got Islam, John Jones, Yuta Piram, Rob Doshili, Justin Duplessis. Should be probably Pantoja, then Magomedov Volkanovski, but it is what it is. Look, Volk, who knows what they're going to do with him next. I'm thinking him versus Movsar Evlov is the next move. For Jack, it's going to be Islam Makhachev hands down. For Bilal, it's tricky to see what they'll do with Bilal, if I'm being honest. Sean O'Malley, title shot, Charles Oliveira. Can't wait to talk about him in just a second. But those are your updated UFC rankings. Pretty good rankings update. Sometimes they give bad rankings updates. I can't lie. There are actually some weeks where they just don't even update the rankings. And rankings updates happen and they just don't even put them on the website. So shout out to the UFC actually doing something with the rankings for this week. But let's get into it. I'm super excited to talk about is all the new UFC fights. We have so many. I'll try and keep it brief. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can for each one, but, there's a lot of good ones. Coming in, first off, on the lesser side, UFC Abu Dhabi, July 26th, has a fun light heavyweight matchup as Ivo Anslan is back in action as he takes on Billy Elikana. Billy Elikana made his UFC debut against Bogdan Guskov and low-key gave Bogdan kind of a run for his money before getting finished in round number 2. As for Ivo Anslan, came into the UFC 2-0, 2 nasty knockouts, and then proceeds to to just absolutely get dominated by Ion Kudalaba. It made no sense. So I'm happy to see Aibol Aslan back in action. He was my prediction for the biggest rising light heavyweight of the year. And as of right now, it might be Zhang Mingyang, if I'm being honest. But we'll have to see. That one's a fun one. Going to go down on the prelims of UFC Abu Dhabi. Same card, same division, but this time we have the number 10 and number 14 men's light heavyweights in Nikita Krylov and Bogdan Guskov going at Nikita Krylov. Coming back maybe a bit too soon after Dominic Reyes put his lights out. I don't know. Nikita 28-9, 10-7 in the UFC. This man has had some fun fights. He's also had some boring fights, but as of late, he's been on absolute fire. Unfortunately for him, he was put on a highlight reel at, UFC 314, I think it was. So we'll see how he does. Bogdan Guskov, 3-1 in the UFC. He's knocked out Zach Pauga. He's knocked out Ryan Spann. And he beat Billy Elikana, who we just talked about. Now they're rewarding him with a great fight in Nikita Krylov. He was supposed to take on Osman Mirzakano. He was supposed to take on Johnny Walker, I'm pretty sure. And Johnny Walker pulled out. So they finally got him booked against Nikita Krylov. I'm picking Bogdan to win this one. I think this should be a good one. This might be on the main card, but UFC Abu Dhabi is getting absolutely loaded up, so this could be like an excellent prelim matchup. Now, here we go, boys. Massive one right here. I'm not doing these in order of the best to, best fight to littlest fight. I'm going in the order that they're announced from Big Marcel, our best news breaker of UFC news. UFC 319, Chicago, Illinois, August 16th, the main event, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I was at my boy Garrett's lunch the other day. We actually had Garrett on the podcast. He was on the Hockey Boys podcast. And, I saw this news on my phone. I had to take a break. I had to walk around the restaurant. I was like, this is insane. Dricus du Plessis, 23-2, 9-0 in the UFC. He is the reigning. He is the defending men's middleweight champion, and he takes on the 8-0 in the UFC, the 14-0 overall, the just wrecking machine that is Khamzat Chimaev. And Khamzat Chimaev, after what he did Robert Whittaker, everyone knew he was next in line for a freaking title shot. And here he is. Here he is, UFC 319. You have a fantastic main event. They're going to Chicago, Illinois, which means get Clay Guida on that card, get Bilal Muhammad, get CM Punk on that event. You are going to have so many great Chicago fighters on there. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. CM Punk will probably be in attendance, but actually won't be fighting, if I'm being honest. But Dricus and Khamzat, I don't know who to pick. I don't know who to pick because it feels like Khamzat's such an easy pick, but also DDP has such a wild style. I don't know. I also really like both of them, so it's going to suck to see one lose, but I'm excited for this one. UFC 319, a fantastic main event. Now, we're going to go something that's going to come a bit sooner. UFC 317, June 28th, Las Vegas, Nevada, International Fight Week, the main event for the vacant lightweight championship, Charles Dubronx versus Ito Pura. What are you doing, UFC? You're making all my favorite fighters fight. This is ridiculous. Charles Oliveira, 23-10 in the UFC. Ito Pura, 16-0 overall in his career. He knocked out Max Holloway. He knocked out Volkanovski. What's next? Dropping down to lightweight to try and become a two-division champion. Not simultaneously. Obviously, him and what's his face, Islam Makhachev, both have had to vacate their belts to chase other titles, but nonetheless, super exciting. Charles Oliveira coming off of his win over Michael Chandler, before that a win over Beneil Dariush. I mean, this dude is an absolute beauty. Charles Oliveira is absolutely insane. His fights with Gaethje, with Poirier, just unreal, and here he is. Getting another fight. I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. Now, I do think this one is pretty, a lock, I'd say, for Ito Pura, sadly, but hey, it's Charles Oliveira. Anything can happen. I'm scared, though. I'm scared that Charles might go out there and get absolutely wrecked, but I can't lie. I love Ito Pura, but if Charles goes out and knocks him out, I am going to lose my brain. So this is an absolutely phenomenal main event. You are either going to see a 3-time Charles Oliveira lightweight champion. Funny enough, he would be a 3-time lightweight champion, or you're going to see a 2-division champion in Ito Pura. History in the making, June 28th. I kid you not, June is going to be one of the greatest months in UFC history. I'm just calling it right now. June's going to be a very weird month for me. I'm finally out of school, starting a working world, kind of got to lock in and start building my empire, but I'm going to be blessed every Saturday night with some excellent UFC matchups. Also going down on that UFC 317 card, the number 9 and number 10 ranked lightweights, Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano. I like this fight. I do kind of like this fight. Good bounce back fight for Moicano, who pretty much sacrificed his rankings, attempts to fight for the lightweight championship. Obviously, Islam leagues better ran through him, but here we go. Beneil back in action, and I like this for Beneil. It's been a tough going. It really has. Armin knocking him out was really sucky. Charles knocking him out really sucky. So he's taking a year off. He's back in action, and him versus Al Moicano going to be a fun main card fight. And honestly, this is a really good fight in general. When I think of a fight that I would like on the main card when I'm buying a pay-per-view, this is a fight I would look for. I'm leaning Renato Moicano. I don't think that's going to change, but exciting nonetheless. Moving into our UFC 317 co-main event, Alexander Pantoja, Kai Kara-France. I mean, come on, 2 title fights, and it's Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I absolutely love it. The champion, Alexander Pantoja. Kai's ranked in at number 4 right now. Fantastic. And I love it. I love giving Kai Kara-France this opportunity. He's gone out. He's beaten Alex Perez. He's beaten Brandon Moreno before. Oh, that's Pantoja. I was about to say, no, he is not. What's his face? Kai Kara-France. Beaten Steve Erceg. Beaten Cody Garbrandt. Beaten Askar Askarov. The Steve Erceg win most recently. Very impressive. I mean, great stuff. Great stuff from Kai Kara-France. And I don't know. There's not much you can really throw at Pantoja that'll make me pick against him anymore. I mean, I went with Asakura just to be a troll. And obviously I had to eat that one. But yeah, I like Kai Kara-France, but no shot I pick against Alexander Pantoja. He is just so freaking good. Also on UFC 317, oh boys, it just keeps getting better. Paulo Costa finally back in action. The number 12 ranked middleweight takes on the number 14th ranked Roman Kopylov. I love this fight. This is going to be a standing affair. Roman Kopylov has really earned this. Roman Kopylov has just dealt with so much issues through his 3 UFC fights. Having to fight Anthony Hernandez, having to fight some other tough guys who aren't coming to mind. But yeah, it's been a rough road. But here he is, 14-3, just past 30, and he's getting a big opportunity against Paulo Costa. And honestly, if Paulo Costa loses this, he's going to get fired. So this is a make or break for Paulo Costa. His record is 6-4. Yeah, he's 1-4 in his last 5. That alone win, Luke Rockhold. Oh my goodness, ridiculous. So that's a super fun matchup. Love that on the main card for UFC 317. We're in for a good one. Now, reverting back to UFC Abu Dhabi, July 26th, he's back, Shara Bullet. That's right, Shara Magomedov, 15-1, fresh off of his first ever defeat against MVP, is back against none other than the man who literally just fought last weekend, Marc-Andre Barriou. That's right, took no damage, already back in action. I love this fight. I'd say it's 50-50 right now at the moment. I'm probably going to pick Shara Magomedov. UFC Abu Dhabi getting loaded up as always. Kind of on the lesser side, not trying to be mean, but, not as exciting as the others. We'll blatantly say it. UFC 318, of course, going down in New Orleans, Louisiana, July 19th, the retirement fight for Dustin Poirier. You have the number 7 and the number 10 ranked women's strawweights, Amanda Ribas and Tabitha Ricci. Tabitha Ricci has worked her way up. She's getting a good shot here. Amanda Ribas looking to bounce back. There's a fun little fight for you right there. Now, also in July 12th, UFC Nashville in Nashville, Tennessee, the main event, the number 9 ranked men's heavyweight Derek Lewis takes on the number 14th ranked Talasson Teixeira. Derek Lewis, my man is coming off of some fun fights. When was the last time he fought? Was it when he knocked out Rodrigo Nascimento? I think it was. Derek Lewis, such a fun fighter to watch. I just absolutely love him. And as for Talasson Teixeira, 8-0. 1-0 in the UFC, absolutely murdered Justin Tafa in 30 seconds. It was actually just really depressing to watch. This dude is 6'5". He's an absolute monster, but he ain't got no right fist of the Black Beast, let me tell you that. Derek Lewis all day. That should be a fun one, though. The main event for UFC Nashville. On that UFC 318 card in Louisiana, you get a fun middleweight matchup as Ikram Alcacera back in action after his dominant knockout of Andre Muniz. Takes on Bruno Ferreira. I was about to say Bruno Silva. Bruno Ferreira. He's coming off his win over, I believe it was Armin Petrosian. Armin Petrosian also has wins over Dustin Sulfus and Gregory Rodriguez. This is a super fun matchup. I kind of hate that these two are face each other. I like them both, but this is going to be a round 1 knockout affair. Someone's going to sleep, and if it's up to me, my money's on Bruno Ferreira going to sleep. Give me a Ikram Alcacera for that. That is super, super fun. And last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, UFC Vegas 108. August 2nd, the main event, flyweight action, the number 3 and the number 5 ranked guys, Amir Albazi and Tatsuya Taira, back in action. Yes, I absolutely love this. Tatsuya Taira had one of the greatest Apex fights I've seen against Brandon Royval, split decision. As for Amir Albazi, was humbled beyond belief, taking on Brandon Moreno. The winner of this could be right back in the title picture. That's how flyweight is. Flyweight is in such a position where you can win one fight and already be back in position to get a title shot. So that's your final announcement. This summer is loaded to the gills, and you can just sign me up for each and every one of these fights. Super excited. I'm sure we're going to get even more fight news in the coming days. Ladies and gentlemen, just round of applause to Dana White. He cooked. He gave us some great fights, and they keep coming. They keep coming, and ladies and gentlemen, we got more good fights coming up this weekend. Now, I can't lie, UFC Vegas 106 is your run-of-the-mill Apex card, okay? No audience, boring fights. But with every random Apex card, there's always some sneaky good fights, and there's going to be some names on here you're going to want to keep on your radar. So 12 fights. We got to do this. I believe I'm 129-66 on the year. So if we go +7 on this event, we could be at +70 on predictions. We're going to lock in. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your official UFC Vegas 106 predictions. Now, real quickly before we dive into our predictions, I do want to talk about how many canceled and just fights that were supposed to happen but never happened were booked for this card. So for stars, Jun Young Park was supposed to take on Ismail Nuradiev. That would have been a fun little middleweight fight. I believe their dates have been shifted on that. We're also supposed to have Muhammad Usman versus Hamdi Abdulwahab. I can't believe either of those guys are still in the UFC, but I would have been curious to see how that fight went. Sergey Spivak was supposed to take on Shamil Gaziev. Shamil did get hurt, so they had to shift that bout. And as for 3 fights that were rumored but never took place, Mosfar Evlov versus Aaron Pico was rumored as the main event for this card for a bit of time before it kind of faded away. Curtis Blades and Rizvan Kuniev was linked to this event. They had to find a later date, and Abdurazak Al-Sam was supposed to take on Dustin Stolfus. Ultimately, both those guys took different fights, and they have wound up where they wound up. So it's just weird to think all the fights we could have had on this card and what we've gotten. I mean, I'm not trying to say like what we've gotten is bad, but it's certainly interesting. Certainly interesting to an extent. So, starting us off with our predictions, we're heading to the women's strawweight division. Strawweight division action as Tisha Tiny Tornado Pennington takes on Luana Pinheiro. Tisha Pennington -375 coming in. Heavy favorite over the +245 Luana Pinheiro. Heading to the tail of the tape for these ladies. Tisha 14-7, Luana Pinheiro 11-4, 5-1-5-2. Luana has 1 inch in height and 2 inches in reach, 62-60. Orthodox stance is the fight position for both of our women. Tisha Pennington, that's right, she is married to Hawkwale Pennington. You know, the UFC, one of the rare companies where you can see a couple of same-sex individuals or even different-sex individuals fighting in the same company, oddly enough. So, Tisha, 35 years old from Massachusetts, but now lives and trains in Colorado. Up for 21 professional fights. She's gotten 1 KO and 1 submission. Never been finished. That is right, 19 of 21 fights for Tisha Pennington have gone to a decision. Insane. That is literally insane. I don't even know how she's still in the company. Last time she got a finish, 2017, she got a rear naked chokehold over Juliana Lima. Not Pena, Lima. Tisha Pennington, since 2020, has gone 4-2. Actually, since 2022, she's gone 1-2. Oh my goodness. She's had 2 fights in 2024, 1 in 2022. So we can only really look at 2024, where she went 1-1, win over Tabitha Ricci, lost to Tabitha Ricci, win over Carla Esparza. I mean, she's just a decision merchant. There's nothing much to it. I don't really have anything to say about Tisha Pennington. Been at it over a decade in the octagon. She's fought Angela Hill, Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Zhang Wei Li, Marina Rodriguez. Got some fun fights here and there. But, yeah. Tisha Pennington, there's a reason she's fighting on the early prelims. And I think, is Tisha in the rankings? I don't know if they booted her yet. Let me check. She's ranked number 13. So you do have a 13 and 15 matchup here in Tisha Pennington and Luana Pinheiro. So who knows? Winner of this could be getting a big fight coming up next. Luana Pinheiro, 31 years old from Brazil, is unfortunately on a 3-fight losing streak. Of her 11 wins, she's gotten 2 knockouts and 5 subs, and of her 4 defeats, she's been knocked out and submitted once each. Luana, kind of came into the UFC on an interesting little thing. Dana White's Contender Series, gets a knockout, debuts, gets DQ'd when she gets kneed in the head, then beats Sam Hughes, then beats Michelle Warson Gomez. Everyone's like, oh, okay. November 2023, Amanda Jimenez kind of beats her brains in. Really good fight. I can't lie. That's a really good fight, but unfortunately loses. Then May 2024 takes on Angela Hill, becomes the first ever woman that Angela Hill submits. I do believe that is insane. Came back in November of that year, took on Jillian Robertson. Unfortunately, it's a prime Jillian Robertson. So Luliana Pinheiro will be back looking for the victory, and all I can say is I just don't want to pick Tisha Payne. I'm going to be honest. I'm riding with Luliana Pinheiro. She's a plus 245 underdog in a 50-50 fight. Okay, neither of these women excel in anything. I will say ground game goes to Luliana Pinheiro. Control time in the clinch on the feet goes to Tisha Penton. Striking is 50-50. Luliana Pinheiro is hotter. I'm so sorry, Tisha Penton. I don't hate lesbians, but I do like hot Brazilian women. So Luliana Pinheiro, we're picking her to win by decision. I would love to go like knockout or submission, but I'm going to be honest. We're going to need to see something spontaneous for that to happen. Now, if Luliana Pinheiro does get a submission, I will lose my marbles. But yes, this is probably going to be a run-of-the-mill boring decision to open up the card. Moving from women's strawweight to men's flyweight, we have Hyung Sung Peace of Mind Park, if that isn't the most beautiful name and nickname you've ever heard, as he takes on Carlos Hernandez. Hyung Sung Park minus 195, Carlos Hernandez plus 135, so not too bad of odds. Hyung Sung Park 9-0, Carlos Hernandez 10-4, 5'8" to 5'7", 1 inch in height for Carlos, 1 inch in reach as well, 67 to 66 orthodox stance for both of our flyweights. Hyung Sung Park coming into this one, the 29-year-old from South Korea has 8 of 9 wins by finish, 4 KOs and 4 subs, and he hasn't fought since December 2023 when he knocked out Shannon Ross in round 1. But I will say he had fights booked against Andre Lima last June and against Niam Jergel Tumberbell in February of this year. So it's not like he hasn't been booked. Unfortunately, injuries have held him back. I can't lie, him being out over a year, more like a year and a half, and the curse of the undefeated fighters has really scared me. I mean, watching Bo Nickel get knocked out really made me realize that this curse is real. So I can't lie, it does make me nervous, but we do have multiple undefeated fighters on here, so we'll have to see. But Hyung Sung Park came in off of Road to the UFC in 2022. I mean, he's been on a crazy finish streak. He hasn't had a decision since, I think, 2021, 2020. So Hyung Sung Park, excited to see what he does here as he takes on Carlos Hernandez. Carlos is 31 from Illinois, so maybe Carlos will end up on that 319 card in August. He gets to fight in Chicago. 4 submissions of his 10 wins and 2 of his 4 losses he has been finished in. He last got a win in November when he won a split decision over Niam Jergel Tumberbell. What do you know? The last guy that was linked to Hyung Sung Park fighting. Carlos was actually a Huser FC champion. Huser FC, some promotion probably in Illinois, but as for his UFC run, it hasn't amounted to much. 3-3 losses to Alan Nascimento, Tatsuo Terra, and Rei Tasura. So the back-to-back Japanese guys beating him was unfortunate. But hey, Carlos back in action. Love to see him. But there's just a stigma with me on here. I love the South Korean fighters for some reason so much. I just like their style, their passion. There's something about South Korea and their culture. Maybe it's Squid Games. I love the show so much. But I'm going with Hyung Sung Park to not just win, but knock Carlos Hernandez out in round number 2. Hyung Sung Park is so due for a win. I'm really hoping that he can get done in this one. And by the way, 8 of 9 wins by finishes. Love to see that. Carlos Hernandez, only 4 subs. Dude doesn't really have a striking game at all. He's much more bring it to the ground or win a close decision. So we're going to ride with Hyung Sung Peace of Mind Park. Look, it's such a calming nickname. And then he strikes you with his fists of fury. Women's strawweight matchup up next, and oh my goodness, I really hope we get a quick knockout in this one. Elise Reed takes on Denise D. Gomez. Yeah, Elise Reed 8-4, Denise 10-3, 5'3", 5'2", 1 inch height for Elise. Both have a 63-inch reach and orthodox stance. Both of them are the same. Elise plus 425, Denise Gomez minus 575. And I just realized I did not get any fighter notes for Denise Gomez. Oh my, shame on me. I don't know how I missed her. That never really happens, but I've been trying out this new thing with my notes where I do like a gap between like every fight, and I must have accidentally missed it. So I'm sorry, Denise, but For Elise Reed, the underdog, 32 years old from California, but now lives and trains in New Jersey. Of her 8 wins, she's had 2 KOs, and of her 4 defeats, she's been finished in each and every one of them. It has been, I'm literally perplexed how she's still in the UFC. Debuts, gets finished, then picks up a split decision win, then gets finished, then picks up a boring decision win, then gets finished, boring decision win, gets finished. Last time she fought, October 2024, beat Jessica Pena. Random decision. Probably the best performance of her UFC career. I can't lie. It was against an age 40-year-old Jessica Pena, but nonetheless, best performance last time out in October. And now she's back. Looking to get done, but she's taking on Denise Gomez, who's just an absolute killer. Absolute killer. I can't believe I missed her fighter notes, but so far through the UFC, she's gone 4-2. She's knocked out Bruna Brazil, knocked out Yasmin Jauregui. Only losses are to Loma Lookboonmee and Angela Hill, which when we look at the rankings are the number 14 and number 12 women, both coming off of wins. Since she lost to Angela Hill in November 2023, she went 2-0 in 2024, win over Eduarda Mora, and last time out in November, beat Karolina Kowalski. Good stuff. For Denise Gomez, there's not much you can get for me to pick Elise Reed unless you gave me a free $1,000 bet so I could win $40,000. So we are going to pick Denise Gomez to win this one. I'm going with a round 1 knockout. I mean, I legit think she's just going to bring the pressure to Elise right off the bat. Bring that Yasmin Jauregui pressure. When she fought Yasmin, she blitzed her right off the bat and caught her so off guard. I think if you do that in the Apex where it's kind of like a chiller environment, that is where you can capitalize. So we're going to go with Denise Gomez, round 1 knockout. I'm really hoping for some finishes on this Apex card. Fourth fight of the evening, women's bantamweight action. As Luiana Santos takes on Tanera Thai Panther Lisboa. Neither of these women are in the rankings, which means the winner will be getting a ranked opponent. Luiana Santos 8-2, Tanera 7-2, 5'7" and 5'6". Lisboa has 1 inch in height. Both women have a 67-inch reach and an orthodox position. Good matchmaking. Luiana Santos minus 165 is the favorite at plus 140. Tanera is just a slight underdog. Luiana Santos coming into this contest 25 years young from Brazil. 1 knockout and 4 subs give her 5 of 8 wins by finish, and her 2 defeats were both decisions. Luiana debuted in 2023 with around 1 knockout of Juliana Miller, if I'm not mistaken. Stephanie Egger decision. Then last win was in July of 2024 when she got a round 1 submission over Maria Agapova. Took on Casey O'Neill in August of last year and unfortunately lost a decision, but she's back. She's exciting. She's good striking, good grappling. Luiana Santos is fun to watch and look at, if I'm being honest. Her opponent, Tanera Lisboa from Brazil, 34 years old, is currently on a 5-fight winning streak. 6 of 7 wins are by finish, 3 knockouts and 3 subs, and of her 2 defeats, her 1 loss was by submission. Won her UFC debut in 2023 with a round 3 rear naked chokehold, and then fought in October of 2023 against Ravina Oliveira, winning a close decision. So, if that's all I need to tell you about that, let me just say is that Luiana Santos has fought more recently. Her fight with Casey O'Neill is more competitive, and Tanera Lisboa is 9 years her senior. So, unless we're going to see some veteran wisdom over the young gun, but Luiana Santos and Tanera Lisboa kind of have the similar MMA run. Tanera is older in age, but not in experience in the octagon. So we are going to go with Luiana Santos. Something about these Brazilian women. Why am I picking so many of them? But it's okay, because we're getting all of our women fights out the way, and from here on out, boys, it's all the goodies, if you want to call it the goodies. But I do hope Luiana Santos wins that one. If I had to go by anything, I am going to go with a round 3 submission. I'm just going to feel she's been dominating round 1, dominating round 2, round 3, finally finds the position after Tanera kind of laxes on her defense. So yes, we are going to go with Luiana Santos by round 3 submission. Moving into a men's featherweight matchup, which kind of came together out of nowhere. Like, I don't even know where this fight was made from, but I'm here for it as we have the Cuban problem, Yadir Del Valle, taking on the controller, Connor Matthews. Yadir minus 585, Connor Matthews plus 350. Oh, Connor Matthews, how I kind of feel bad for you. Yadir 8-0, Connor 7-3, 5'9" to 5'8", 1 inch a night for Yadir, and 2 inches of reach for Connor. 71-69, southpaw for Yadir, switch stance for Connor Matthews. And I'm gonna be honest, this one really has me thinking about the undefeated curse, just because of how obvious Yadir should be, but Yadir Deval, 28 years old, born in Cuba, raised in Cuba, trained in Cuba, now trains out of Texas, or that's where he fights out of. 4 of 8 wins are by finish, 2 KOs, and 2 subs. He picked up a decision on Dana White's Contender Series in October, landed 125 significant strikes to 59 over Antonio Montero. That's all I really know. So all I really know about Yadir. He is a massive favorite in all aspects. He should be better than Conor, but don't forget about the undefeated curse of 2025. Conor Matthews, 32 years old, from Massachusetts. He is a part of the New England cartel, which I'm going to be honest has been struggling. Rob Font, especially Calvin Kattar, who was the lead guy there. So maybe Conor can turn around. He has 6 of 7 wins by finish, 1 KO and 5 subs. And of his 3 losses, he's been knocked out twice. So not the most exciting stuff. He's actually 1-1 on Dana White's Contender Series and 0-2 in the UFC. He was knocked out in round 3 last March, and he was knocked out this February in 2 minutes and 56 seconds against Jose Delgado. So yeah, I understand there's an undefeated curse, but guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it happens here. Here's the thing. I don't know. Yadir might be a bum. Yadir might not be good at all, but I've seen Conor Matthews, and dude is just built for, the event I went to in person, the unranked guys, the local talent. That's the fights he'll win in main event to dominate. On the big stage, I can't see it happening. Yadir, Vidal, whatever, I'm going to pick him to win, and I might even go with a round 1 knockout, just because the Cuban Problem is a pretty dirty nickname. I can't lie, that's pretty sweet. Conor the Controller Matthews, he has not been controlling nothing. Maybe the Xbox controller he plays at home when he's in his parents' basement. I'm just kidding, Conor. I don't like to hate on people. I'm just going to pick Yadir Devil round 1 knockout. There we go. Lock it in. Moving from featherweight to lightweight, Jared Flash Gordon back in action, taking on Thiago Moises. Minus 110 for both guys. The odds makers have this as 50-50 as one can get. Jared 20-7 with a no contest. Thiago 19-8. Both men have 5'9", 2 inches in reach for Thiago, 70-68. Both men stand in the orthodox fighting position. This is just one of those fights where it's like, okay, here's 2 unranked lightweights who, oh my gosh, they haven't fought. Let's matchmake them together. This is just something you see in almost every division, and I always find it funny. These are just 2 guys that have just made their run of the lightweights, and now they've wound up against each other. We'll start with Jared Gordon, 36 years old, from New York City. I think he's actually in Queens right now is where he lives, but 9 of 20 wins by finish, 7 kills, and 2 subs. Of his 7 losses, 5 of them he's been finished in, 4 of those by knockout. He actually had multiple fights scheduled on February 15th, but none can materialize. Thankfully, this one has, so Jared can get a fight in to start off the year, if you will. Last time he fought, June of 2024, had a fantastic bloody fight against Nasrat Haqpasarat. A lot of people thought he won that. I didn't. I honestly didn't even think it was a split decision. I thought Nasrat was up 2-1, pretty solid, but hey, what do I know? So Jared finally back. Last win was in November 2023 when he knocked out Mark Madsen. I mean, this is the guy who arguably probably beat Paddy Pimblett when they fought. Now, honestly, the best for business call is having Paddy win that. It turned out that was the best for business call, but I do think watching that Jared Gordon won that fight. He's also taken on Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki, Charles Oliveira, Diego Ferreira. He's taken on a notable number of guys. This is year number 8 in the UFC for Jared Gordon. And at 36, it's never too late to make a run, but you will need to start here with a win. And gonna be honest, it's not gonna be easy as he takes on Thiago Moises. 30 years old, from Brazil. 12 of 19 wins are by finish, 4 KOs and 8 subs. And of his 8 defeats, he's been finished 3 times. I think maybe twice by submission, 1 by knockout. I don't know, but Thiago Moises, very talented. Very, very talented. Been with the UFC since 2018. And I mean, his losses: Beneil Dariush, Damir Ismagulov, Islam Makhachev, Joel Alvarez, Benoit Saint-Denis, Ludwig Klein. Like I said, this guy has only lost to really, really talented fighters. Last win was in January. Beat Trey Ogden on the first card of the year. Did what he had to do. Got the win. Actually did it on the feet with the leg kicks oddly enough. His last finish was in 2024 when he beat Mitch Ramirez. He had a fight of the night against Benoit Saint Denis. He's beaten Melquizael Costa, who's on this card. I mean, Thiago Moises, pretty good, and he actually main evented against Islam Makhachev. Think about that. You know, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, wins over Michael Johnson, Bobby Green, Alexander Hernandez, and then he gets to go on and have a main event against Islam Makhachev. Yeah, Thiago Moises is a fun fighter to watch. And I don't know if he's going to get the submission here. Might be another run-of-the-mill decision. That's the word we always throw around. But we are going to pick Thiago Moises to win because I don't think Thiago is that washed. I don't really want to say Jared Gordon's washed, but I do think that when we analyze how these two have performed so far in their MMA careers, Thiago Moises should be league's ahead. And honestly, if he could go in, get a round one, we'll go guillotine, I would not be surprised at that. So Thiago Moises, lock it in. That's my prediction. And then with that, I believe we get into the main card. I believe it's a 6-fight main card. If not, this is the final prelim as we head to the men's lightweight division again as Gabe Gifted Green takes on Matheus Jaguar Camilo. Jaguar Camilo. That's a fantastic little nickname and last name type of thing. Gabe Green 11-5. Matheus Camilo 9-2 minus 255 for Matheus plus 175 for Gabe Green. Pretty even along the stat sheet. 5'10", 73 inches. Switch stance for Gabe Green. Orthodox for Matheus. I mean, these two are about as even as one can get. Big gap here is going to be in the age. Gabe Green is 32. Matheus is 24. That's right. Gabe Green, the 32-year-old from California, has 10 finishes out of his 11 wins, 4 kills, and 6 subs. Now, of his 5 losses, he has been knocked out 3 times. Did have a fight booked in April of 2024, but he has officially only fought in last since May of 2023. And I can't lie, for being 2-3 in the UFC, his losses, Dager Rodriguez, Ian Gary, and Brian Battle. Those are 3 amazing aged victories. Those are 3 amazing age victories. Holds wins over Phil Rowe and Johan Laness. This guy was fighting at welterweight. He has since moved down to lightweight in the 2 years he's been off of fighting. And now we'll see how he performs. And at 32, it's not too late, Gabe Green. It's not too late as he takes on Matheus Camilo, 24 years old from Brazil on a 6-fight winning streak, 6 of 9 wins by finish, 4 kills, and 2 subs. Both of his losses have came by submission. And look, here's the thing. Matheus Camilo is making his UFC debut. Didn't come off of the Contender Series. Didn't do none of that. He's making his debut. I don't know a lickety-split thing about him. When I'm looking through my predictions, I honestly feel I've picked I've gone underdog, favorite. We've had too many favorites here, guys. We need to spice up a little underdog. And Matheus Jaguar Camilo could be an absolute savage, but here's a guy in Gabe Green who was fighting Ian Gary to decisions, who was rushing Brian Battle, who had to debut against Dan Rodriguez. I'm going with the underdog, Gabe Green, in this one. Now, Matheus Camilo could absolutely make my words, but I just don't know anything about him, so I will sacrifice picking him just for the fact of seeing if he's good or not. But yes, we are going to go with Gabe Green. We're actually going to go with a little round 2 submission here. I think Matheus may be a bit too happy in round 1. Gas out Gabe Green, capitalizes on it, beats him up against the cage, takes him down, submits him. That's how I think it's going to go. Now, officially, this feels like where the main card really gets going. Featherweight action, and I'm excited for this one. These are 2 dudes I used to be like, oh, these guys are fighting, and now it's like, okay, whoever wins this one, big things are coming. Juicy J, Julian Erosa, takes on Melquizael Costa. Oh my goodness. I can't believe how active these two have been. Julian Erosa, 31-12. Melquizael, 23-7. 6'1" to 5'10". Usually Julian has pretty much higher height advantages, so I mean 3 inches isn't too bad. Same for the reach, 74-71, 3 inches there. Both men fight in the southpaw position. Julian, plus 160 is the underdog. Melquizael, minus 190 is the favorite, but the odds have been pretty close. I think Melquizael is probably going to close as the favorite, but this is a 50-50 fight. Let's start with Julian, 35 years old, from Washington, the state. I believe he's actually from, where's he at in Washington? Is it Olympia? Somewhere up there. On a 3-fight winning streak, 12 KOs and 14 subs, give him 26 out of 31 wins by finish. We love to see that. Now, of his 11 losses, 7 of them have came by knockout, so not the prettiest stuff there. But Julian Erosa, has completely revitalized his career. I mean, at one point, Julian Erosa was just background noise. You know, we had a stint in the UFC for a while, fought on multiple contender series, just made random debuts here and there, and then finally got it going in 2020. Beat Sean Woodson, beat Nate Landwehr, gets knocked out by Seung-Woo Choi, beats Charles Jourdain, beats Steven Peterson, beats Hakeem Dawood. Everyone's like, okay, like this dude's legit. Then Alex Caceres knocks him out in round 1. Fernando Padilla knocks him out in round 1. And everyone's kind of like, dude, Julian Erosa's chin is just absolutely cracked. Takes a year off, comes back in March of 2024, 2-minute submission of Ricardo Ramos. Okay, he's legit. Comes back in July, round 1 submission of Christian Rodriguez. Okay, wow, he's pretty good. April 2025 takes on Darren Elkins, round 1 freaking knockout. Julian Erosa is so back, and at 35, he is in his prime. It's been exciting to see. He's been doing it on the feet. He's been doing it in the striking. If I were to tell you that this guy at one point was about to be cut from the UFC, you'd have gone, what? This guy? That's where he's pretty good. So, Julian Erosa back in action, but he's taking on a guy in a similar spot, Melquizael Costa. 28 years old from Brazil, also on a 3-fight winning streak. 15 of 23 wins by finish, 7 KOs and 8 subs. And of his 7 defeats, 4 of them have came by finish, 2 knockouts and 2 subs. And this is actually his 3rd fight of 2025. And when I think about fighter of the year, right now, I mean, I love to bring up guys who fight multiple times a year. And as of right now, you know, we've had Islam win, Jack Del Maddalena win, Driscus win, Magomedov Ankalaev win, you've had Volkanovski win, Merab, but I haven't really seen anyone stand out too much in the fighting game. So I think I am going to say that if Melquizael Costa wins this, he is going to be my front runner for fighter of the year. Crazy enough. And I bring up how I had Kevin Holland over Hamza Chimaev in 2020. Usman was my 2021. 2022 is Volk. 2023 was, did we give that to Islam Makhachev in 2023? I don't know. 2024 was Pereira, but Melquizael Costa can really make a run here. He was 1-2 in the UFC, losses to Thiago Moises and Steve Garcia, win over Austin Lingo, and then submitted Shailene Nurdam-Beek last year, submitted Andre Fili this year, and last year, a couple of weeks ago in March, beat Chris Rodriguez. So Melquizael Costa, fun, exciting, action-packed. I would pick Julian Erosa if this hadn't been his 3rd fight of the year, but I'm going to ride with Melquizael Costa. Started his UFC career around. That's what I'm going with. But whoever wins this, I will feel really happy for. And plus, I'm going to say when we look at the men's featherweight rankings, Calvin Kattar at 15, Dan Ige at 14. Winner of this could really get a shot at a ranked opponent. So keep your eyes out on the winner of this. And as for the loser, kind of going to suck. You're back to square one. Moving up from featherweight to middleweight, we got Dustin Stolfus taking on Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Dustin 16-6, Nursultan 35-9 with 2 draws and 2 no contests. The experience from a 31-year-old Nursultan Ruzaboyev is insane. 6'5" to 6 foot, 5 inches in height for Nursultan. But only 1 inch reach, 76-75, and both men fight in the orthodox fighting position. Let's start with Dustin, 33 years old from Pennsylvania. He is the underdog at plus 250, 9 of 16 wins by finish, 3 KOs and 6 subs, and 4 of his 6 defeats he has been finished in, 2 by sub, 2 by knockout. Now, Dustin Stolfus' UFC career hasn't gone well. You know, safe to say 3-5 for goodness sakes. And, you know, he actually started out 0-3. No idea how he even made it to the UFC. Lost to Kyle Dawkins, lost to Rodolfo Vieira, lost to Joe Mearshart, then beat Dwight Grant. They're like, okay, this guy's good. Then he takes on Abus Magomedov, gets starts in 19 seconds. And at 1-4, they thought about cutting him. They then give him Punahele Soriano, and it actually ended up being Punahele Soriano who gets cut. Then they bring him back again in June of last year, and Bruno Serra just knocks him out cold with a spinning back elbow. Came back in November, though, took out Marc-Andre Barriault, and somehow, that's right, Marc-Andre Barriault, the guy who knocked out Bruno Silva, was knocked out in round 1 by Dustin Stolfus with a crazy counter punch. Oh my goodness, I have no idea how Dustin Stolfus is in the UFC, but he's not only in the UFC, coming off a performance of the night knockout over a guy who just got a performance of the night knockout. Oh, man, I'll put a little respect on your name, Pennsylvania boy. But it won't be easy for you as he takes on Rosutin Blackruzaboyev, the minus 310 favorite. 31 years old from Uzbekistan. But, oh, look at this. He now also trains in Philadelphia. 33 of 35 wins are by finish, 13 KOs and 20 subs. And of his 9 L's, he's only been finished twice. I think one by submission and one by knockout, if I'm not mistaken. He's currently sitting at 3-1 in the UFC. All of his wins are round 1 finishes, and his one loss is the Joaquin Buckley, which has just aged beautifully. So, Rosutin coming off a win in February, got a nasty little knockout over Eric Monconio, and yeah, I think it's going to be similar. I think that Rosutin's going to get a knockout here. Dustin's best gameplay is to try to get a takedown. If he can't do that, it's wraps. I mean, this is pretty straightforward for me. I think Rosutin Ruzaboyev is very talented. Give me him all day to win by knockout. Now, moving from middleweight back to lightweight. That is right. Sodiq Yusuff. Super Sodiq Yusuff is up from featherweight, going to lightweight division, trying to make a name for himself as he takes on Myron the Legend Santos. Plus 110 for Sodiq, minus 130 for the Ultimate Fighter Season 32 winner in Myron Santos. Sodiq Yusuff 13-4, Myron 16-1. Ooh, 5'9" to 5'7", 2 inches in height for Sodiq, 1 inch in reach for Myron, 72-71. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Super Sodiq, man. It's just such a shame. Such a shame that Sodiq is in this position right now. 31 years old from Nigeria, but now lives and trains in Maryland. 7 of 13 wins by finish, 6 KOs and 1 sub. 2 of his 4 losses, he's been knocked out in. And who are his losses to? None other than Arnold Allen, Edson Barbosa, and most recently at UFC 300. Over a year ago, Diego Lopez starched him in 90 seconds. So Sodiq took a year off, moved up in weight, trying to revitalize his career. But man, I do feel for him. I honestly do feel for him. You know, it was tough getting knocked out by Diego Lopez and seeing how good Diego Lopez was. That win his age pretty good, but Man, I was always a fan of Sodiq. We'll see if he can turn around, but it will not be easy. It'll not be easy in the slightest as he takes on Myron Santos. Myron, 24 years young from Brazil, but now lives and trains in Las Vegas. Currently on a 5-fight winning streak, 9 of 16 wins by finish, 8 KOs and 8 knockouts. Yes, 8 KOs. Oh, okay. I'm getting confused here. 8 knockouts for him. So 50% of his wins are by knockout. His one defeat, he was knocked out. And okay, Myron Santos, not a ground guy. Likes to keep her on the feet. Obviously starts Con Offley in round number 2 with a crazy forward punch. I mean, oh my goodness. Last fought in March of this year, won a split decision over Francis Marshall, where grappling was his weakness there. So I know he's not undefeated, so there's going to be no curse, but I got to ride with my boy Sodiq. I cannot back down on Sodiq Yusuff right now. New weight class, new Sodiq. We're riding with the Nigerian monster, Super Sodiq Yusuff. Give him to me. Myron, who are you? 24 years young. I think he's a bit green. I think he's green at 16-1. I think when you have that much experience that young, I don't think it's going to pay off well. So we're going to ride with Sodiq Yusuff. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our co-main event as Rodolfo Trator Bellato takes on Paul Bear Jew Craig. And this one's at light heavyweight. Paul finally gave up on middleweight. Goodness me. Who told Paul Craig that middleweight was a good idea? I don't know who told him that. Rodolfo minus 520, massive favorite, plus 390. Paul Craig is a big underdog, unfortunately. Rodolfo 12-2 with a draw. Paul Craig 17-9 with a draw. Both men are 6'3", 1 inch in reach for Bellato, 77-76. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. Rodolfo Bellato, 29 years old from Brazil, and guess what? He is currently on a 4-fight winning streak. I know he's coming off a draw, but technically that counts as a doesn't mess up your win streak, if you want to say. 7 knockouts and 4 subs give him 11 of 12 wins by finish, and 2 of his 2 losses have came by knockout. That's right, debuted against Vitor Petrino on the Contender Series in 2022, where he got knocked out in round number 2, but then came back and won in 2023 on the Contender Series. Debuted in December of that same year, getting a round 2 knockout of Vitor Portura, then took on Jimmy Crute in February and went to a draw. Crazy fight. That Jimmy Crute fight was absolutely nuts. It was both men's fight to win at points and both men's fights to lose at points. At the end of the day, the judges saw it dead even all the way. So, Rodolfo, back in action. We'll see how he does as he takes on Paul Bear Jew Craig. And Paul Craig, he needs to win this or he's getting cut. I hate to say it. I really do. Paul Craig needs to win this or else he's getting cut. 37 years old from Scotland. 4 KOs, 13 subs. The 100% finish rate still there for Paul Craig. Yet, of his 9 losses, he has been finished 7 times. 5 of those by knockout. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 1-5 in his last 6. Oh, Paul Craig, please do something. Please do something. He's been at the UFC for 9 freaking years. He's got to turn it around. Now, as of late, Bo Nickel outstruck him. All right, boring fight, UFC 309, boring. All right, Kyle Barallo knocked him out in round 2. Brendan Allen submitted him in round 3. Andre Muniz, though, he finished him. Johnny Walker, though, finished him. That was 2023. Lost to Volkan Ozdemir in 2022. Now we're getting back too far. Paul Craig is 37 years old. This is so tricky for me. Because, I would love to pick Paul Craig, but the issue is Paul Craig just has to get close. Paul Craig has to get close, close the distance, land a takedown, or get him to pull guard. And in the Jimmy Crute fight, it was just a struggle for Bellato to get to the ground and really be put in position by Jimmy Crute. So, as much as I would love to pick Paul Craig, I really would. This last weekend taught me a mid-lesson. You're supposed to pick certain people at some point. We're supposed to pick Rodolfo Bellato here because he's supposed to knock out Paul Craig. So, as much as I love you, Paul Craig, as much as I want to pick you so badly, we're going to pick Rodolfo Bellato by, we'll say round 2 knockout. Makes me sad. It really does. But I'll be rooting for you, Paul. I'll be rooting for you, despite not picking you. I'm rooting for you. I get how that works. I get how it sounds, but I'm still picking you. So I'm not picking Paul Craig. I've even confused myself. Maybe my brain wants me to pick Rodolfo Bellato, but my heart wants me to pick Paul Craig. Nonetheless, when I do my official predictions and put them on the verdict, and when I do it in my notebook, and when I'm telling you right now, my official predictions, Rodolfo Bellato. And ladies and gentlemen, that'll bring us to our main event of the evening. Welterweight action as the number 12 ranked undefeated 17-0 man, Michael Morales, takes on the number 8 ranked, the former title challenger, Gilbert Durinho Burns. This is going to be fun. Gilbert is 22-8 compared to, of course, the 17-0 of Michael Morales. 6 foot to 5'10", a little bit of height for Michael Morales. 79 inches and reach to 71, though, gives him an insane arm reach advantage. Holy cow. Orthodox stance for both of these gentlemen. The number 8 ranked Gilbert Burns, 38 years old, is the plus 575 underdog. Oh my gosh. He is the biggest underdog on the card at plus 575. Born in Brazil, trained in Brazil, but now actually lives in Boca Raton, Florida. That's where he's out there training nowadays. 15 of 22 wins by finish, 6 KOs and 9 subs. Of his 8 losses, 3 of them have came by knockout. These 2 were actually supposed to fight at 315 last weekend, but instead I don't think they had a main event for this card, and they were like, hey, can we just shuffle you around? And they're like, sure, let's freaking do it. And nonetheless, here's your fight going down. Gilbert Burns, we could follow his UFC career. This is year 11 for him. It's been a great run so far. Of course, his amazing 6-fight winning streak, knocking out Damian Maia in Brazil to gain a title shot against Kamaru Usman. Obviously, won round 1, but got finished in round number 3. Following that would be Wonderboy Thompson, lose Hamza Chimaev in one of the greatest fights of the year in 2022, would submit Neil Magny, beat Jorge Masvidal in the co-main event of UFC 287, and then run to Bilal Muhammad, would injure himself there, get beat, take on Jack Della Maddalena over a year ago. Jack would humble him insanely and beat him in round number 3 in a comeback win for the year, and then in September took on Sean Brady, and Sean Brady just ran through him for 5 straight rounds, took him down, outstruck him. It was bad. But, let's look at the freaking 3 people that Gilbert Burns has lost to last. We can even look at the last 5 people that Gilbert Burns has lost to. Kamaru Usman is one of the greatest welterweight champions of all time. Hamza Chimaev is a wrecking machine getting a title shot. Bilal Muhammad, former men's welterweight champion. Jack Della Maddalena, current men's welterweight champion. Sean Brady, the number 1 contender. So we do need some context there. But unfortunately, Gilbert Burns just keeps getting hungrier, better, and more talented, up-and-coming talent. And that's where we bring in Michael Morales. Minus 850. What a favorite here. 25 years old. I do want to bring it up. 13-year age gap is insane. Born in Ecuador, now trains out of Mexico. 12 KOs and 1 sub give him 13 of 17 wins by finish. Now, this is the year of the undefeated fighter losing. Some will say it's going to happen here. I don't know. I really don't, because Michael Morales, here's a guy who knocks out Trevin Giles in his debut, then knocks out Adam Fugit, then takes on Max Griffin, deals with a little adversity, takes on Jake Matthews, outstrikes him, but deals with some adversity, then just runs through Neil Magny. We know Carlos Prates ran through Neil Magny, but oh my gosh, what Michael Morales did just took him down and beat his freaking brains in from the back. So yeah, Michael Morales, Gilbert Burns, it's close. I think it's closer than people are going to think. I do think we're getting a decision here, or maybe a late knockout or finish for both these guys, but similar to Rodolfo Bellato, as much as I do enjoy watching and picking Gilbert Burns, I got to ride with Michael Morales. The smart picks are to go with the guys that are supposed to win. And here, he's younger, he's faster, the reach is insane. On the feet, Gilbert Burns' chin is not what it used to be. For some reason, his takedown game has been starting to fade these last few fights, and it's going to be an uphill battle for Gilbert from the get-go. So we will pick Michael Morales to win this contest. And you know what? I just hope for a good night of fights. It'll be my final fight card to watch until the end of May when we get to watch yet another Apex event. Oh, golly gee, lucky me, what can I say? But I do think that's because on the 24th, it's WWE Saturday Night's main event, and it would be at the same time spot as the UFC event, or maybe it's Labor Day. I don't know. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, those are your official UFC Vegas 106 predictions. What a fun episode. You know, I love UFC. I love talking about UFC. This is a completely UFC-filled episode. And this will be the last time I speak with you guys here in my dorm room. Not my dorm room, I say my apartment here. And, you know, I think throughout the life of Zachary, as we continue to do these episodes every single week until the day I die, you know, kids, marriage, divorce. No, I'm not getting divorced. I was trying to think of, what's it called when you lose your job? Oh my gosh, why am I thinking of negative things? I don't know, but I'm just thinking no matter what happens in life, I'm always going to have you guys to discuss about things. And honestly, I hope someone brings up everything that I've done on this episode so that I can know you watched it. But, all right, nonetheless, guys, I will sign off. It's going to be an exciting future. The rest of May is in for a good one, guys. All right, get out there, kick some butt, live your best lives, and I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.